The Rinnegan is an unimaginably overwhelmed eye, and it has a place to the individuals of the Otsutsuki clan initially. When Kaguya Otsuchi gave birth to Hagoromo and Hamura, the previous, her senior child, was favored with the powers of the Rinnegan. This eye was unimaginably effective and permitted Hagoromo to do things that ordinary people couldn't. He was appropriately named to be a god. With the Rinnegan, Hagoromo might control 6 ways powers, and these were the Deva way, utilizing which he might control strengths of attraction, Asura way, utilizing which he might deliver and utilize progressed apparatus from inside his body, Naraka way, which gave Gettu to the ruler of hell, creature way, which gave Gettu to numerous summonings, human way, which gave Gettu to souls of human creatures, and any other living things, and at long last, Preta way, utilizing which one would pick up Gettu to the capacity to assimilate chakra. The legend of the Rinnegan plummets specifically from the Sage of 6 Ways, who had this control up his sleeve. Afterward on in Naruto, fans need to see some characters use this eye, and inquisitively, this eye appeared varieties depending on who utilized it. Before we get started, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification button to be notified when we post great videos. Let us know your possible suggestions by leaving your comments below. The diverse sorts of Rinnegan clarified. The Rinnegan awards its client effective and interesting capacities. The Rinnegan is one of the 3 incredible jujutsu within the world of Naruto. Accepted to be the most grounded of the 3 eyes, the Rinnegan is unimaginably overwhelmed, said to hold the powers of God. It is accepted that in times of require, somebody using a Rinnegan will plummet upon the world and either cause incredible devastation or lead to world peace. These are the standard powers of the Rinnegan that Hagoromo was favored with from birth. Be that as it may, whereas he was fortunate sufficient to have it, others ought to stir this control. Hagoromo had 2 children, Indra and Asura, and both of them were favored with 1/2 of his powers. The as-it-were way to stir the Rinnegan viably is to combine the powers of Indra and Asura together. Since these 2 kept reincarnating over a long time, Madara Uchiha was effective in combining their chakras to allow rise to the Rinnegan. Another way to stir the Rinnegan is to meet the sage himself. A blessing from the sage leads one to turn the visual control of the Mangekyo Sharingan into a Rinnegan, given that they have the chakra of its slightest one of the kin inside themselves. Madara Uchiha is the first person in Naruto's world to awaken the Rinnegan since the Sage of the 6 Paths. At the top of the Uchiha clan, he developed his ocular jutsu to the highest level. This was not surprising because he grew up in the Warring States era, and everyone saw him fighting on the battlefield, surrounded by enemies on all sides. Madara had to either live or perish by becoming stronger. Of course, someone with a passion as strong as his could definitely survive and improve the Aijutsu. Madara was the first Uchiha to awaken the Mangekyo Sharingan with his brother, and later gained the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan after his brother's death. Madara also played a role in the creation of Konoha and was actually the man responsible for christening it. Unfortunately, things were not meant to be, and Madara had to leave the village and then return to attack it. In the final battle against his arch-rival Hashirama, Madara died. But his main goal in that battle was to receive a piece of his own flesh. Thanks to the Mangekyo Sharingan, Madara was able to read the stone tablet and knew that he must combine the powers of Indra and Asura to create true power that would ultimately bring world peace. Madara then obtained Hashirama's cells and integrated them into his body, causing the Rinnegan to awaken for the first time since the Sage of the 6 Paths' death. Unfortunately, the Rinnegan didn't awaken in Madara's eyes until near death, which meant he couldn't use the power for long. He applied those eyes to Nagato and hatched a cunning plan to see himself from the dead in the future. In the 4th Great Ninja War, Madara saw his wish come true and finally regained his sight. With the powers of the Rinnegan, Madara was unstoppable. His Rinnegan had the special ability of limbo, and it allowed him to summon clones of himself from a different plane of existence. It was impossible for a normal person to see the limbo clones. They could only be felt with the 6 paths senjutsu or seen with the Rinnegan. The power of these clones was great enough to defeat even the tailed beasts, which just goes to show that they are not to be messed with. In fact, it became even stronger when Madara became the 10 Tails Tenchuriki. Madara was certainly not the only mortal in Naruto's world to achieve the Rinnegan. Sasuke Uchiha, one of the main characters of the story, also achieved this feat. After meeting the Sage of the 6 Paths, Sasuke gained half of his powers and thus awakened the Rinnegan. He calls his eye the gift of the Sage of the 6 Paths. Just like Madara and Hagoromo, he had all the abilities of the normal Rinnegan, but his Rinnegan looks completely different. Sasuke's Rinnegan has 6 tome, which means he has special abilities. When these tomes are visible, Sasuke can use the special abilities of the Rinnegan. When they disappear, Sasuke's eye needs a recharge. The exceptionally to begin with capacity that Sasuke's eye gave him that's special to him is Ameno Tejikara. This method permits Sasuke to swap places with any protest that's inside a certain sweep. Sasuke instantly swaps places with both living and not living things. This method is inconceivably valuable and has seen him vanquish incalculable enemies with his one-of-a-kind procedures. With time, Sasuke moved forward his control over the Rinnegan indeed advance, and he too opened a modern capacity. This capacity is anonymous. In any case, it gives him the power to open a gap within the texture of space and time itself and travel to any measurement he wants. Sasuke can get to the dimension of Kaguya, all 6 of which are unimaginably troublesome to induce to. He seem indeed get to the measurement of the 10 tails in Ishiki's world as well. Clearly, Sasuke's Rinnegan is exceptionally overpowered. The individuals of the Otsutsuki clan are too favoured with the Rinnegan. In their cases, the Rinnegan has appeared numerous varieties, both in terms of colour and powers. For occasion, Momoshiki incorporates a ruddy Rinnegan on the palm of his hands, and it in the long run advances and gets to be yellow when he retains Kinshiki. It moreover gifts him the control to retain any ninjutsu with one hand and multiply it a few times and remove it from the other hand. Similarly, Urashiki has a few Rinnegan colours. He starts with a purple Rinnegan, which at that point advances and takes ruddy and in the long run gets to be blue. Urashiki's Rinnegan too gives him the capacity to go back in time, which makes him amazingly overpowered. The individuals of the Otsutsuki clan all have diverse dojutsu and all of them have one-of-a-kind powers. From Momoshiki to Urashiki, the Otsutsuki are inconceivably perilous to require in combat. Furthermore, the most grounded Otsutsuki of all time, Shibai, moreover had get to the Rinnegan. Be that as it may, it isn't known what his eye permitted him to do. Maybe, within the future, fans will discover out more around this, and, in this way, learn more about the ponders of the capable eye, that's the Rinnegan. That's what we have for you today. What do you think of our video? Let us know in the comments section below and don't forget to subscribe, like and hit that share button.